The first sensation wasn't pain, it was the hush. A heavy, suffocating quiet that filled my head until the only sound left was my pulse, loud and irregular, like a fist knocking from the inside. I stared at the ceiling fan turning in slow circles, tracking each rotation as if it marked the final moments of the person I used to be. A bitter, metallic taste coated my tongue. My body felt unfamiliar. Over-alert. Every inch of skin buzzing as though stripped of insulation. Then her voice drifted in. "Easy," Isabella whispered. "Too gentle. Too controlled. Just keep breathing." I tried to push myself upright and couldn't. My muscles shook, disconnected, like they were waiting for new instructions. When I finally managed to look down, terror seized my lungs mid-breath. Something was different. Not something me. This wasn't dream logic confusion. The details were too sharp, too grounded. Whatever had happened was real. Permanent. And it began with trust one gave too easily to the woman I loved. My name is Ethan Cole. 26. Data analyst. Professionally competent, personally forgettable. I built a quiet life on purpose. Blending in was safer than being seen. No spotlight meant no scrutiny. No scrutiny meant no danger. I learned that rule young. My father enforced a strict version of manhood that didn't need to be spoken to be understood. Deviation was failure. Emotion was weakness. My mother survived by shrinking her presence, filling the house with routines instead of resistance. I followed her method, become small, become safe. School, university, career, I moved through them like a shadow. Perform well enough, never loudly. Never invite curiosity. Especially not the kind that might uncover the questions I buried deep, the ones about identity, about self, about possibility. Then there was Isabella. She was momentum in human form. Decisive where I stalled, bold where I hesitated. She worked on the bleeding edge of biomedical research, hormones, genetic switches, experimental therapies that hovered between innovation and controversy. When she talked about her work, her eyes sparked with dangerous excitement. We met at a crowded party I didn't want to attend. She crossed the room straight toward me. "You look like you're trying to vanish," she said, handing me a drink. I should have recognized the accuracy as a threat. Instead, it felt like recognition. We worked because we were opposites. She drew me outward, I steadied her intensity. Or at least that's how I justified how fast it all moved. She liked questions that cut beneath the surface. Do you feel authentic? Who would you be without fear? Do you trust me? That last one surfaced again and again. My answer never changed. Yes. Our apartment reflected my taste for control, muted tones, precise order, nothing impulsive. A space designed to prevent surprises. Ironically, it became the birthplace of the biggest one. I worked from home most days, surrounded by spreadsheets and predictive models, systems where inputs led to reliable outputs. Life, I believed, should behave the same way. I was wrong. Isabella's schedule was chaos made routine, late nights, shifting shifts, messages that said don't wait up. Some evenings she returned drained and hollow-eyed, other nights overstimulated and restless, and sometimes emotionally far away, like part of her never left the lab at all. That distance kept widening. I heard it in delayed replies, saw it in the way she observed me when she thought I was distracted, not with affection but analysis. I pretended not to notice. Avoidance had always been my survival skill. What I was doing in private wasn't rebellion or some reckless thrill. It began by accident. One night while folding laundry alone, I pulled on the wrong sweatshirt, hers instead of mine. It was lighter, softer, carrying the faint scent of her conditioner. I wore it without thinking. Something settled inside me. It wasn't excitement. It wasn't desire. It was recognition. When I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror, my pulse jumped, not because I looked absurd, but because I looked at ease. Centered. The mental static I lived with every day faded to a hush. That calm frightened me more than panic would have. I dismissed it as stress, exhaustion, a strange mood. But self-discoveries don't reseal once opened. Borrowed clothes turned into quiet late-night experiments. Locked doors. Quick changes at the rattle of keys in the hallway. Each moment carried equal parts shame and relief, a swing so sharp it left me unsteady. I wasn't chasing transformation. I was chasing understanding. And Isabella, she was never in the dark. Not because she walked in on me. Because she'd already figured it out. The night everything unraveled, she came home hours earlier than expected. I froze when I saw her in the doorway. She took in the scene with a slow, thoughtful sweep of her eyes, no anger, no surprise, just calculation. Then she smiled. "I wondered how long you'd keep pretending," she said quietly. I should have pushed back. Questioned her. Instead, I listened. She spoke about identity as biology, about hormone pathways and neural feedback, about emerging therapies meant to align body and self. She said change could be guided, supported, measured. She said she wanted to help because she cared about me. Then she asked her favorite question again. "Do you trust me?" I answered the way I always had. Yes. Now I was paying for that answer, lying on the bed with nerves on high alert, my body humming with unfamiliar sensitivity while she watched with an expression that wasn't quite tenderness and wasn't quite regret. Something deliberate had been started. The realization cut through my fear with surgical clarity. This had not been a mistake. When consciousness returned, it came slowly, dragged upward by discomfort. My senses felt overamplified, every brush of fabric against my skin registering too clearly. My heart stumbled through an uneven rhythm. For a few seconds I didn't remember why. Then I tried to stand. My balance felt recalibrated, like invisible weights had shifted inside me. The room tilted. I caught myself on the mattress edge. My hands didn't look the same, narrower, more refined, the proportions subtly altered. A chill ran through me. "Careful," Isabella said from the doorway, dressed casually, composed, like this was routine. "What did you do?" My voice fractured mid-question. Thinner. Softer around the edges. She approached, gaze focused and clinical. "Your system is adapting extremely well," she said. "Better than projected." Adapting to what? A pause, brief but revealing. "A hormone modulation sequence," she said at last. "Experimental. Supposed to be reversible." Supposed to be? Her expression stayed steady. I needed real-world data. The bathroom mirror felt hostile. I locked the door and stared. The face looking back was mine, but smoothed, subtly reshaped, emotions more visible in the eyes. I touched my cheek to confirm reality. Warm. Solid. The progression was incremental but unstoppable, like watching frost dissolve into water. No single moment dramatic, yet the overall form undeniably altered. Loose clothes helped hide the outline, but not the awareness. My stride felt different. My posture adjusted on instinct alone. Beneath the fear was something more disturbing, a quiet internal alignment that felt right in a way I didn't want to admit. Isabella kept me home for monitoring. She sat up at the kitchen table, laptop open, tracking something, me. Every glance tightened my nerves. "You're studying me," I said. "I'm keeping you stable," she replied. The hours crawled. Outside, life continued normally, traffic, voices, sunlight, while inside my reactions sharpened and emotions rose without warning. I startled easily. Sentiment hit harder. My internal landscape was shifting along with everything else. Worst of all, I was beginning to adjust. That evening she grabbed her coat. "I'll be back soon. Need one thing from the lab." "You're leaving me like this?" She paused, memorizing my face with unsettling focus. "Don't experiment on your own," she said gently, and walked out. The door clicked shut behind Isabella, and the apartment filled with a crushing stillness. Not peaceful, pressurized. My thoughts started racing to fill the space. I walked in tight loops across the living room, every step feeling strangely unfamiliar yet disturbingly natural. Reflective surfaces kept catching me, window glass, black TV screen, picture frames. I couldn't avoid my own image. I needed something solid. Something that proved I was still the same person. I went to the bedroom, a mistake the moment I made it. The closet door slid open to reveal Isabella's side, dresses arranged by color, blouses spaced evenly, skirts hanging like quiet invitations. I'd seen them 1,000 times without really seeing them. My fingers hovered in the air. "Don't." But another thought answered back, "You already crossed that boundary." I chose the simplest dress, soft fabric, muted tone, nothing bold. Just information gathering, I told myself. Just context. Pulling it on felt less like disguise and more like relief. The material settled against me with unsettling correctness. My pulse surged, not from excitement but from a deep internal click of alignment that brought sudden tears to my eyes. The mirror stole my breath. This wasn't a costume. It was emergence. Stop, I whispered to myself to the reflection, but neither of us obeyed. A noise shattered the moment. Keys at the door. Adrenaline detonated in my chest. I tore at the dress, nearly falling, hands useless with panic. Then nothing. No entry. Just a sharp knock instead. Too soon for Isabella. Too firm to ignore. One of her heels sat on the floor beside me like evidence. Another knock. Whoever it was planned to wait. The pounding grew louder. My heart matched it beat for beat. I stood stranded between identities, half-changed and fully exposed. Then a voice filtered through the door, female, older, familiar. "Ethan? It's Mrs. Hargreaves." Cold dread spread through me. The observant neighbor. The one who catalogued details like a hobby. "I think your package came to my place by mistake," she called. "I saw Isabella's car is gone. Are you home?" A perfectly normal reason to open the door at a completely impossible moment. I threw the dress aside, shoved the heel under the bed, dragged on sweats and a hoodie. The clothes fit wrong now, pressure in new places, looseness in others. My zipper snagged twice before closing. My breathing wouldn't slow. I cracked the door open. Her smile arrived first, then concern. "You look unwell," she said gently. "Are you all right, dear?" She'd never called me that. Not once. "I'm fine," I answered too fast, voice thinner than intended. Her eyes sharpened, just a fraction. "Stress shows up in odd ways," she said, handing over the box. As I reached, my sleeve slid back. Her gaze locked onto my wrist. "New skincare?" she asked lightly. Too lightly. "What?" My throat tightened. "Your skin looks different." Still smiling. Still measuring. I took the package and retreated. She lingered a second longer than politeness required, then left with a neighborly farewell. I shut the door and slid down it, lungs burning like I'd outrun disaster by inches. I didn't hear Isabella return. I only saw her, suddenly, in the hallway mirror behind me. Calm. Curious. "You explored," she said softly. I stood up fast. "Someone came. You told me not to open the door." "I know," she replied. My stomach dropped. "How?" She lifted her phone. "Sensors. Cameras. You're surveilling me." "I'm safeguarding the trial," she corrected. "That's not better." She stepped closer, studying my breathing, my posture, my face. "Your physiological response curve is remarkable," she murmured. "No rejection cascade at all." "Stop talking like I'm data," I snapped. That made her pause, the first genuine hesitation I'd seen. She exhaled slowly. "You weren't meant to learn this mid-process." "Learn what?" "That I'm your unauthorized study." "I didn't create this in you," she said quietly. "I accelerated it." "You don't get to make that call." Fear flickered behind her eyes, not for me, but for control slipping away. From her bag she removed a small vial of clear fluid. "This is a regulator," she said. "It can slow or suspend the progression." Hope hit hard and sharp. "Then give it to me." She held it tighter. "If I do, we lose the full dataset." "You're not hearing yourself." "Look at you," she urged. I didn't want to, but I did. The mirror showed further softening, subtle curvature, a silhouette drifting away from what my clothes expected. And beneath the fear was that same dangerous sense of rightness. "Answer honestly," she said. "If this stops right now, are you certain you want that?" My mouth opened. No words formed. Her whisper carried awe. "You feel it too." "That doesn't make this okay." "No," she agreed. "But it makes it yours." She set the vial on the table between us. "Choice." My hand hovered. The doorbell erupted again, long, insistent. Isabella checked her screen and went pale. "There's been a lab breach," she breathed. "They traced the protocol." The bell turned into pounding. "Ethan," she said urgently, "decide." "Who is it?" Her silence answered. A voice outside called, "Open the door. We know you're inside." "You said reversible," I whispered. "It still can be if you take it." "And if I don't?" No reply. Something inside me, a lifetime of compliance, finally tore. I looked from the vial to the mirror. The person there wasn't wrong, just frightened and unfinished. Isabella reached for the regulator. I moved, but not toward it. Toward the door. "What are you doing?" she hissed. "Not hiding," I said, and the steadiness in my softer voice surprised us both. I opened it. 2 officials stood outside, a badge, a lab coat, calm authority. The woman assessed me in one swift, clinical glance and nodded with recognition. "Ethan Cole," she said evenly. "You need to come with us." My knees nearly failed. "Why?" Her gaze shifted past me to Isabella in the hallway. "Because this trial," she said, "was never approved." They didn't raise their voices at first. That made it worse. "For your protection," the woman in the lab coat said evenly. "And for clarification of what was done to you." Isabella stepped forward, spine straight, defiant. "You don't have authority here." The man beside her didn't even look at her when he answered. "Your facility has been flagged, ethics breaches, unregistered human trials, altered reporting." Then his attention returned to me. "And you're not the only case." The word struck like impact. "Only case?" I repeated faintly. The woman met my gaze with professional sympathy. "Only active subject recovered so far." I turned to Isabella. "How many were there?" She couldn't meet my eyes. That silence told the truth faster than numbers could. They guided me into the corridor. Doors cracked open up and down the hall, curious neighbors collecting fragments of scandal. Their stares pressed against my skin, but for once I didn't try to disappear. I stayed upright. Visible. The elevator swallowed us. As it descended, the doctor spoke quietly. "The hormone cascade in your system is volatile. If it continues, reversal may become impossible." "And if you stop it?" I asked. A pause. Careful wording selected. "Interruption at this stage can cause psychological destabilization, identity shock, severe dysphoria, dissociation. No safe ending. Just different kinds of damage." When the doors opened, I looked back one last time. Isabella stood at the far end of the hall, stripped of certainty for the first time since I'd known her. "I was trying to help you," she called, voice breaking. "You should have asked me," I answered. Then she vanished behind closing steel. City lights streaked across the car windows like timelines I'd stepped off. The doctor handed me a tablet. Case files filled the screen, profiles, scans, progress charts, others who'd undergone similar protocols at different stages. Different bodies. Different outcomes. "You can give a statement," the man said. "Shut the operation down." "And if I refuse?" The doctor leaned in slightly. "Then control of your treatment transfers out of your hands." I studied my fingers, refined, trembling, no longer alien in the way they first were. My body was changing faster than my self-image, yet some deeper layer felt strangely aligned. I lifted my head. "I want continuation," I said. "But under oversight. My consent. My terms." They exchanged a look, surprise first, then recalculation. "You're choosing to proceed," she confirmed. "I'm choosing agency," I corrected. She gave a small, respectful nod. "Then your case becomes precedent." The vehicle turned down an unfamiliar road. Fear and acceptance rode side by side in my chest. One thought burned clear: Isabella hadn't created this, she'd forced it open. Now the world wanted to study what walked through. Back upstairs, minutes or hours earlier, it was hard to tell. Her phone had kept firing alerts. Each one drained more color from her face. "Someone's inside the database," she murmured. "External access. They found your file chain." "Who?" "I don't know. But they won't come to talk." The pounding on the door returned, heavier now, official. She held up the vial again. "Last chance. Regulator or forward motion. Decide." My reflection in the hall mirror showed someone between definitions, not who I was, not yet who I might be. My hand hovered. My pulse roared. The final alert flashed, subject location confirmed. Intervention inbound. Then the entry team arrived, fast, coordinated, overwhelming. Commands filled the room. Jackets, badges, controlled motion. Their focus locked onto me immediately. Ethan Cole, hands visible. Subject. The label cut deep. I raised my arms. My sleeves slipped, revealing skin that no longer matched yesterday's life. The lead physician stepped forward, voice calm. "I'm Dr. Marin Lavin. You're not under arrest. I'm here to prevent irreversible harm, if that's what you want." Isabella tried to block her. "He doesn't answer without counsel." Dr. Lavin's smile was thin. Consent was skipped. "Your authority is gone." No one expected me to speak, including me. "She's right," I said softly. The changed timbre of my voice silenced the room. I never agreed to this. Isabella looked at me like gravity had shifted. I didn't consent, I repeated. That was enough. The officers moved. Restraints clicked around her wrists, a small, final sound. This wasn't supposed to unfold like this, she pleaded. I held her gaze. You were afraid I'd say no. They seated me carefully on the couch, not rough, not gentle, like handling unstable glass. Dr. Lavin knelt and began scanning vitals at my throat and wrists, her expression focused, respectful. Digits streamed across Dr. Lavin's tablet in restless columns. Her posture shifted, barely, but enough for me to see the concern underneath the professionalism. You've progressed beyond the projections, she said quietly. How far? I asked. She didn't answer right away. That pause was its own confession. Say it. She drew a slow breath. Your endocrine network is already reorganizing itself. The secondary developments are speeding up. Translate, I whispered. If we interrupt now, your body will live, but it won't revert cleanly. The process has written itself too deeply. Her gaze held mine. If we continue, the transition completes. The room tilted in my vision. One of the agents swore under his breath. Isabella struggled against her restraints. You can't let that happen, he doesn't understand what he's agreeing to. A broken laugh escaped me. Interesting, I said hoarsely. You didn't think I needed a choice at all. Dr. Lavin set 2 auto-injectors on the table between us. Identical shape. Different futures. Left halts progression, she said. Right stabilizes and guides it forward. My chest felt too tight for air. I stared at the glossy black of the powered-off television and saw my reflection there, not monstrous, not ruined, just someone on the edge of becoming. Someone who'd spent a lifetime holding still. My hand moved. Isabella shouted my name like a warning shot. I didn't turn. I picked up the stabilizer. Dr. Lavin searched my face. Confirm. For once, I said softly, I'm not guessing. The injection hit like a lightning strike under the skin, not pain exactly, but release under pressure. Heat surged up my spine. My muscles seized, then unwound. My breath broke into a higher register I barely recognized as mine. Sound fractured around me, orders, a sob, someone cursing, all distant. When the wave passed, stillness followed. Not emptiness. Peace. Terrifying. Earned. She helped me upright. My center of balance had shifted again, lighter frame, altered proportions, gravity rewritten. An agent cleared his throat. What name should we log? The question landed deeper than any diagnosis. I opened my mouth. Isabella screamed in fury as they led her out. You think this ends here? You think they'll let you walk free? The door slammed. Silence reclaimed the room. Dr. Lavin studied me. This isn't the end, she said. You've moved into a larger program now. How large? She handed me a red-stamped dossier. Project Eve, Phase 1 verified. You're the proof point, she said. And proof attracts attention. The facility was designed to look humane, transparent walls, warm lighting, soft colors. That was the camouflage. Comfort as containment. The clothes they issued fit perfectly, too perfectly, size from scans taken before I'd stood up. Precision instead of kindness. You are not detained, Dr. Lavin repeated as we walked. I'm also not free, I answered. She didn't argue. We passed opaque glass rooms with moving silhouettes, one pacing, one curled in a chair, one laughing too loudly, one crying without restraint. I slowed. Who are they? Program participants. Like me? A beat. Then a nod. Different stages. Unfinished. The word hung unspoken but felt. Testing followed, blood panels, neural reflex checks, emotional stimulus trials. Questions timed to the half-second. Do you regret continuing? A technician asked. No, I said and meant it, though fear and relief braided together underneath. My response latency was logged anyway. Dr. Lavin observed from behind the glass, composed as weather. Later, in a mirrorless interview room, she sat across from me. That sense of relief you're reporting, she said, is the foundation of Eve's thesis. Breakthroughs usually leave wreckage, I replied. Only when rushed. Like Isabella rushed. A flicker of guilt crossed her face and vanished. She chased outcomes. We build frameworks. For what? Demonstration, she said. That identity transition can be directed safely at scale. Controlled, I corrected. She didn't disagree. They let me sleep. The bed wasn't mine, but my body settled into it like something long denied had finally been acknowledged. I was drifting when the wall display glowed softly. Text appeared, no interface, no prompt. You shouldn't trust them. My heart lurched. Who is this? I whispered. She wasn't the first. Not the worst. Who are you? A delay. Then, Phase 2's aftermath. Footsteps approached. The message dissolved. Dr. Lavin entered moments later, perfectly calm. Rest well? I studied her, really studied her, and felt suspicion take root. Yes, I lied. Good, she said. You meet the board in the morning. The board? Eve sponsors. They'll determine your next stage. At the door I asked, if I refuse? She paused without turning back. Then we learn how permanent consent becomes once biology commits. The lock engaged behind her. The wall lit again. Run. There won't be another window. Somewhere in the building, alarms began a low mechanical hum. Morning arrived in sterile white light. I sat up, instantly aware of my rebalanced body, softer contours, redistributed weight, unfamiliar but no longer wrong. My hands closed into a different kind of fist. My voice, when I tested it, carried a new resonance. A knock. Dr. Lavin entered, composed as ever. It's time, she said. The board is ready to see you. I walked beside Dr. Lavin with my pulse hammering, the corridors stretching ahead like they were designed to wear down hesitation. Behind each frosted panel we passed, shapes moved, pacing, laughing, crying, murmuring, lives in transition or suspension. The glossy floor kept throwing my image back at me, a reminder that this wasn't observation anymore. It was reconstruction. The boardroom opened like a stage. Glass walls. Cathedral ceiling. A semicircle of sharply dressed decision-makers already seated, already judging. No welcomes. No courtesy. Only assessment. Ethan Cole, a baritone voice began. Or have you selected a different name? The question landed with weight. Not yet, I said. I'm still deciding. A woman at the far end smiled thinly. You won't be undecided for long. They moved straight into Phase 2. No ceremony, just immersion. Cognitive trials. Emotional provocation. Social simulations projected in full sensory detail. Conversations that turned hostile, affectionate, intimate, rejecting, each designed to see how my mind flexed under identity pressure. You're adapting faster than any prior model, Dr. Lavin murmured as she passed behind me. This data shouldn't exist yet. Fear sparked. So did exhilaration. The combination was addictive and horrifying. Every microreaction was captured, pupil dilation, vocal shift, hesitation time, my inner life graphed in real time. Then the leverage appeared. A screen lit up, Isabella restrained, eyes alert, alive, contained. She exceeded protocol, said a suited board member coolly. Your cooperation determines her outcome. My stomach dropped. So that was the mechanism, compliance through consequence. I caught my reflection in the glass wall, neither the man I'd been nor the woman I was becoming, but someone suspended between truths. You retain agency, Dr. Lavin said quietly at my side. But Phase 2 crosses a line you can't uncross. Irreversible. I swallowed the tremor in my throat. Proceed, I said. Across the table, heads nodded like judges satisfied with a plea. The procedure suite activated around me, instruments waking, displays blooming with color. Anticipation crawled through my nerves. A microinjector touched my arm, precise, cold, and released. Warmth unfolded through my bloodstream, carrying emotion with it, not just chemical change but perceptual shift. My breathing altered. My center of awareness moved inside my body like furniture being rearranged. You're not erasing yourself, Dr. Lavin said near my ear. You're uncovering structure. It didn't feel gentle. It felt seismic. Light arrays pulsed in rhythm with my heart. Sensation mapped itself across new contours, chest, hips, throat, feedback loops rewriting comfort. My voice lifted without permission when I gasped. Don't brace against it, she advised. Resistance increases distress. Part of me wanted to flee. Another part leaned in. The monitors switched again, Isabella's image returned, but now she was composed, almost serene, watching me. A board member spoke. She was never your adversary. She was calibration. My thoughts scattered. Calibration? Dr. Lavin finally said it plainly. She was embedded to measure your responsiveness from the start. Memories rearranged themselves under that light, questions she'd asked, looks she'd given, doses she'd timed. Not romance alone. Instrumentation. And I passed? I asked weakly. You qualified, the board member said. Continuation is still your decision, with consequences either way. Choice always framed, never free. I looked down. The reflection in the polished surface showed a version of me undeniably changed, yet continuous. Not replaced, expanded. Then the alarm started. Red strobes. Facility tone. Security breach warnings cascading across displays. Doors auto-sealed. Camera feeds showed dark figures moving through corridors with purpose. The room fractured into motion. Dr. Lavin gripped my shoulders. Stress phase. Final metric. What do you choose under threat, regression, or ownership? Across the room, Isabella watched me, expression unreadable now, her earlier confidence cracked. Choice again. I stopped fighting the direction of change. Not surrender, ownership. My posture shifted with the decision. My breathing steadied inside the new rhythm of my body. The main doors burst open. A lone figure entered through the security haze, tall, controlled, presence bending attention toward them. The hood dropped back. Sharp eyes. Measured calm. So, the newcomer said softly, the subject has matured on schedule. Dr. Lavin went rigid. Isabella's composure finally broke. Identify yourself, I demanded, voice trembling but clear. A faint smile. Architect, they replied. Funding, design, escalation paths, mine. Eve exists because I insisted it should. My skin went cold. You built this around people. I built it around potential, they corrected. You are the proof case. Your masterpiece? I said bitterly. Your word but accurate. Isabella whispered, I didn't know the full scope. You knew enough, the architect cut in. Ambition filled the rest. That is why you were useful and why you're finished. Dr. Lavin stepped forward. We can still complete stabilization safely. The architect shook their head once. Safety is past tense. Now comes declaration. Their gaze locked onto me. He doesn't just continue, they said. He chooses completely. Then there will be no dampeners, the architect declared. No safeguards. No one steps in. He accepts his true form, or the version of him you remember is gone. Accept. Or disappear. The words settled over me like gravity. Every step that led here, every secret curiosity, every suppressed fear, every reckless yes, pressed in at once. This moment wasn't sudden. It was built. Isabella moved closer, voice urgent but steady. Ethan, this is yours. Don't hand them the wheel now. Power. Choice. Ownership. I'd spent my life shrinking to stay safe, hiding to stay loved. But standing there, nerves burning, senses sharpened, body rewritten into something stronger and stranger, I finally understood something simple and absolute. No one takes control. You surrender it, or you claim it. I drew a slow breath and let it anchor me. I decide, I said quietly. I choose myself. Stillness rippled across the room. The architect's mouth curved slightly. Approval or curiosity? Hard to tell. No one owns me, I continued, cutting off the protest forming on Isabella's lips. Not you. Not her. Not your program. Whatever I become, that's my authorship. A soft chuckle echoed from the far end. Excellent, the architect said. Show us then. The system surged alive. Light poured across my skin in cascading patterns. The final sequence moved through me like a tide, not tearing, not forcing, aligning. Body, thought, instinct, no longer in conflict but in sync. The sensation was overwhelming but not destructive. It was integration. I stood inside it instead of fighting it. Whole. Dangerous. Alive. The architect stepped back, satisfied. The trial concludes. The consequences begin. The public will demand explanation, and you, my finest outcome, will determine how much truth they receive. I met Isabella's gaze. No commands now. No manipulation. Just recognition. Whatever we had been to each other belonged to the past tense. The noise faded. Machines powered down. Alerts died. No voices defined me. No metrics measured me. Only quiet, and this time it felt like ground instead of void. The architect turned away first, already detached. Proof obtained, interest spent. Dr. Lavin remained motionless, watching control slip beyond recovery. Isabella said nothing. There was nothing left she could steer. I studied my hands, unfamiliar yet unquestionably mine. "I'm finished here," I said, calm and certain. No one argued. That was the surprise. I walked out unchallenged, through the corridors, beyond the gates, into the open night. The air against my skin felt new, like the world had been reset to match me. I didn't know the name I would carry next. I didn't know the shape of my future or who would stand with me in it. But I knew this much. I wasn't remade. I was uncovered. And from this point on, every next step would be my decision.